All right, good morning, you guys. Today we get to divide scientific notation. Sorry about the other videos. Hopefully this one works a little bit better for you. And let's take the time to review, how do we multiply scientific notation? Because usually it's good to know how to add, how to subtract, how to multiply. So right here, if we have 7 times 10 to the negative third times 6 times 10 to the 13th, how do we multiply those? And hopefully you don't have to put a bunch of zeros there. Hopefully you know, oh, well, I multiply these front numbers. So 7 times 6 is 42. And you add the exponents. And if you forgot that, just write exactly what I just did. Negative 3, so you go 42 times 10 to the negative 3 plus 13 is going to be to the 10th. Now, we're not done because you know scientific notation, decimal has to belong after the 4. So you go 4.2, and they work inversely. So if you made the number smaller, you have to make this larger by 1. So it's actually going to be 4.2 times 10 to the 11th. So I'm going to give you another question. Say you have 8 times 10 to the negative 6. And I want you to multiply that times 9 times 10 to the negative 11th. I'll give you a moment to do that. And right now, if you don't have it done yet, pause it. But once again, we're going to multiply those two numbers. 8 times 9 is 72. We're going to add the exponents. So we go negative 6 plus negative 11 is negative 17. Decimal has to go between the 7 and the 2, so you get 7.2 times 10. We just made the number smaller, so we have to make this larger. And I would highly suggest just writing like plus 1, because negative 17 plus 1 then is negative 16. A very common mistake people make is you'll tell me that it's negative 18. I'm like, what are you doing? Subtracting or adding? So that's what we have there. Now, if we get into dividing, let's start with something easy. We go this, and then we can go to right there. So when we're dividing scientific notation, all you have to do is ask yourself, oh, what are we doing? We're dividing. And to be able to divide scientific notation, you divide our coefficients or our front numbers. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And instead of adding, we subtract. And so then you do 7 minus 10. And 7 minus 10 is actually negative 3. We don't have to move the decimal at all because it's already in the proper spot. And there you go. You just divided your first scientific notation problem. So let's recap. Divide the front numbers, subtract the exponents. Simplify if you have to. So let's think about this one. Now, this one's a little different, but you guys can do it. We follow the same concepts. What do? Well, we divide the front numbers. 3 divided by 4. Top number goes in the box. Some of you guys just know it by heart. Is going to be 0.75. If you don't believe me, figure it out. Then, what do we do with these exponents? We subtract them. But this is where it helps to write out your work. You have 3 minus a negative 5. And as I talked to one of you, particularly yesterday about this, anytime you have a double negative, it becomes positive. So as weird as it's going to be 0.75 times 10 to the 8th. Majority of you would probably have, oh, you have to subtract those, negative 2. Wrong. Make sure you add the inverse. Then, you know, for scientific notation, I'll change my colors. Decimal has to go 7.5. And right there, we just made our coefficient bigger because it went from 0.75 to 7.5. And if you make this bigger, you have to make this smaller. Once again, show that work. And here's your final answer. Now, hopefully I'm not losing you with the simplification because we have done that before on 2 lessons. But if I did, if I am losing you, please either ask me or look that up because you need to know how to simplify from 0.75 to 7.5. Let's try another one then. Let's divide 3 times 10 to the negative 9th, and let's go 5 times 10 to the negative 4th. I'm going to give you a moment to do that one. If you're not done yet, please pause so you can actually not cheat yourself out of practice. But right here, you have 3 divided by 5. And that's going to be 0.6. And I'm just going to write that larger so everyone can see it. So 0.6. What do we do with the exponents again? We subtract them. And I would always write that out. Negative 9 minus a negative 4. Just like we did in last problem, you have to add the inverse. Negative 9 plus 4 is going to be negative 5. And then the last step you have to ask yourself, is this scientific notation? No, we need the decimal there. So we got to go 6 times 10. And we just made this front number much larger. So instead of making this larger, we have to, if you make this larger, you have to make this smaller. Negative 5 minus 1 is negative 6. Always circle or box your answers because, like, look at that. You see that board up there? It looks kind of crazy. So that's all I have for you today. I would like you guys to do for your practice. Let's get a new slide here. Lesson 111. Let's do B, D, F, H, and see how many starred we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. First 10 starred, because the next one is a scientific notation one, along with 27 and 28. And 27 and 28. I know a lot of you are like, oh my gosh, but this was a short lesson. So let's get to it. We are on page 780 to start with. Thank you for working hard, you guys. Keep it up so we finish this school year strong.